Hi, I'm Tamzin. So it's my last day here in India at PriyaMED, so I thought I'd get in front of the camera and speak to you all about my experience from the very start right up to 5 minutes before now. So I first spoke to Jane and Claire back in this summer about some FFS surgery. As you can probably guess, that's what I've had here. And I had a very clear, specific list as to what I wanted to do, but I didn't have a very clear idea of exactly how I wanted it to be done. So for me, it was really important to choose a company that would look at me and help work with me to choose what was best for me as an individual. I spoke to several different companies, and it was PriyaMED that really came through as having an approach that was centered around what I wanted to get out of FFS, and not so much what the doctor wanted to get out of it that I felt from other companies. Fast forward over a few months, a few back and forth emails between myself and the team at Priya. We settled on a date and some time off work as well to do so. One of the things that was really impressed me about the experience with PriyaMED was the fact that Claire, especially back in the UK, was in contact with me pretty much every 3 to 4 weeks for a catch-up, and just showing the level of interest and professionalism that the company had. The first thing they always asked was, is there any change to your medical history? Which I thought was really good, because it showed that they were constantly looking into, could anything affect or change what's going to happen when I come to India? So the big day rolled around, we passed Christmas, and I came out to India at the very start of January. When I landed, I'm quite an independent traveller. I've travelled all over the world, many times on my own as well. And I felt quite comfortable. It's the first time I've been back to India, in Mumbai as well, in 15 years. I was met right outside the airport by Jane, which was an experience. At 2 o'clock in the morning. It was great to have a friendly face amongst the crowd and the chaos that awaits you when you first arrive in India. And I just knew that I would be in good hands with somebody looking after me. And that theme really carried on throughout the entire time I was here. For me, that's been one of the real defining things about the Priya experience, has been the fact that it's been a community and it's been a journey together as that community throughout. Several times I've been worried about whether the swelling would be going down at the right rate, whether I needed, even crazy things like help getting changed in the initial days after breast augmentation. It was all helped through the company, through Jane, through her staff in the villa, and also the other girls as well. It just made the fact that I'd travelled to India halfway around the world on my own just a complete non-event. I felt like I was at home and amongst family. So many of you probably want to know what surgery I've had. I kind of had everything really. I'll start from the top down. So the first surgery, and one of the interesting things to note here is that it's done in 2 surgeries, facial surgery. So we do a first section and then a week's recovery and then a second section. So generally top and then bottom. So the first thing that they did in the first surgery was to adjust my hairline. So they managed to bring a good couple of inches forward where I had previously it would go back. I now have a very happy, level, feminine hairline. They did a type 3 brow boss, and you'll see from some of my before pictures as well about how prominent that was, and it's now just lovely and smooth. Coming down then, they also did a nose job, and again, looking at those before pictures, you can see now I have a lovely upslope, just continuously down, and my side profile is what had really been driven me towards FFS. In the first surgery I also had a few other tiny little bits. I had an initial stage of fat injection into my cheeks, and I had the upper lip lift. I got home from that, and it's the first time I've undergone any surgery since I was 6 years old. So I was a little bit, taken back by what would be required of me. I was brought back to the villa, I was looked after, and I was out within that evening watching films with everyone else. It was great because 24 hours later, despite being swollen up and having bruised under my eyes and a blocked nose and taped up and looking generally like I'd been in a pretty serious fight, I was out with the rest of the girls, and we went out for a lovely Indian meal with Jane, with Vinny, with the other staff here. And it was great because I think mentally it put me in a great place, so I could just say, actually, I can focus on my recovery here. I'm in a good place. Getting out and about really helped me. And all throughout, every morning, people would come in and just check up on me. It would just be little things like I was conscious of the fact they would be looking over me and just making sure that nothing was happening untoward. And there was reassurance as well. There was the fact that I knew that 2 days after I'd got home was about as bad as it was going to get. And I'd got to the top of the hill and it was going to go downhill in swelling from there. Combine that with some great advice from the girls I was in the villa with, and Jane and the rest of the team, about things like massaging my jawline to help reduce the swelling, meant that within 5 days really of coming out of what I considered to be quite major surgery, I was ready to go back again, which is good because it gave me an extra day just to explore. So I went out with some of the other girls and we went to some temples, we went for a nice walk around the local area and got fully ready to go back in for round 2. I'm having cheek implants and lower
Excited?
Yeah. So round 2, as I said, is the lower part. So picking up where we left off, we go to the cheeks. I know that doesn't really make sense, but I had some cheek implants and also some additional fat transfer. I had some lower lip work, and then I had a sliding genioplasty. An interesting thing was, and this is what really amazed me discussing afterwards, was initially the plan was just simply to grind off a little bit at the corner of the jaws here and to grind off a little bit of the chin. Simple as that. However, when I was in surgery, it was suggested, why do we not do a slightly more cutting edge procedure of this sliding genioplasty? Now, if I'd have known about it, I'd have of course said, yes, that's great. So I came around to find that had been done. So that involved bringing my whole jaw together and completely reshaping it. You can't really see much at the moment because it is still swollen. It will take several weeks to go down. Once it's down, we'll have a much better idea. Then I had a full facelift, and again this was like an upgrade on the day. So it had been agreed to do just purely a neck lift. However, once again, once the discussion was had that because we're changing the shape of Tamzin's jaw, perhaps we need to go a little bit further, and I had a full facelift as well. Again, lots of swelling, so you probably can't see the full results, but that will all come with time. And one of the things we'd discussed beforehand that I'd never really considered, I never really had a very prominent trachea or a prominent Adam's apple. And I even said to Claire in the initial consultation, I don't need a tracheal shave. It's not something that's visible, it's not something that I can see, it's not something I'm conscious of. Claire made a great point there and said that if we are going to do a neck lift, it is likely that you will then have a more prominent trachea. It was great to have people looking at problems from different aspects, so I had a tracheal shave as well. The final thing that happened during that surgery was insertion of 550cc breast implants. Waking up a few hours later, back into the ward, this is a surgery where you really do feel it. The lower one, there is no hiding, it does not keep a 6. But, again, by getting me moved to the ward quickly, it really did help accelerate my recovery. The nursing staff were on hand, within seconds if I needed to call them. But if not, they were often there before I'd even needed to call them, tending to every need, whether it be taking me to the toilet, whether it be feeding me, whether it be, I don't know, giving me a sponge bath, all of these things just to raise morale, to make me feel better about myself, to accelerate my recovery. Before I knew it, I was in Jane's car on the way home, and Jane, bless her, this time had to drive exceptionally careful on the Mumbai's roads. For those of you who haven't been to India, the roads in Mumbai are generally quite chaotic and often full of random potholes in random places. I want you to imagine that you've just had about 1 kilogram of silicone inserted into your chest. You can imagine there might be a little bit of growing pains while your skin adapted to it, and I was no different. So Jane very carefully drove me home whilst I sat there making sure that the bounces were restricted as much as possible. Once again, when I got home, the villa care package really kicked in, and it did take me a couple more days to recover, and I didn't get to go out 24 hours later for a meal, but primarily that's because there was no plan for anyone else to go out 24 hours later for a meal. Within a couple of days I was up and about. Jane was taking me off to other people's appointments to get me out of the house, to get me exercise, to get me fresh air, and to get me seeing some of India as well. I found that really helped with my mental recovery. Which brings me up to near enough today. So I'm flying home in 4 hours time. I have a taxi booked to take me to the airport, which will drop me straight off. I have all of my instructions should I need to, should I have any concerns, I know exactly what I need to do and where I need to go. So you might be asking, would I recommend PriyaMED? I think you could probably gather the answer is unequivocally yes. I chose PriyaMED for 3 key reasons. The first reason was what I alluded to at the start, was the fact that they would do surgery for me and do it right by me. The next thing, and this thing is really overlooked I think, was the whole package. So I wasn't buying just surgery, I was buying an experience that made sure I would be looked after, cared for, fed, and generally have my welfare put as #1 priority for the entire 3 weeks I was here. I have no doubt that I could go direct, but I cannot imagine waking up from surgery without it being in an intensive care unit, without it being in a dedicated special private ward in a private hospital, and without then coming back to a villa to recover in. I would definitely have needed to bring somebody with me, and I wasn't in a position to do so. The final thing was the cost, the value. What I've got through PriyaMED has been considerably better value than anywhere else. When I first opened the line of dialogue with Priya, I felt that this was the place that I needed to go. This is the place that would look after me and deliver what I wanted. However, there is no escaping the fact that also the price has, as their tagline said, left some change in my pocket, or probably more accurately, my partner's pocket. So to sum it up, those were the 3 key reasons, and I really do feel they've delivered on it. Really, that all it leaves me to say is, thank you, PriyaMED.